Well, hey, um, just a little off-the-cuff blog for tonight to my regular subscribers who have basically quit making videos of their own because I don't know why, but I can guess why. Because every one of us is so damn frustrated with the system of politics in the United States, which has finally come down to nothing more than some cheap game show. It's like Dancing with the Stars in Congress, basically. But I would urge you not to completely disengage from this process, because it's very, I don't know, it's very easy to fall into this trap of thinking that you're going to be the next armchair revolutionary. At this point, we still have some freedoms left in order to speak out, and we should take that opportunity and use it as long as it's still available. There is talk of a police state, and it certainly has the potential, the full potential of that happening here. But this doesn't mean that it has been implemented yet. So, I think far too many people in America are completely unaware of, when we talk about revolution here, it's not like, it's sort of something you see on TV and it's all, the good guys win and the bad guys lose and all of that. That's not the case, okay? It's not that easy. So and revolutions are by definition almost always repressed in the beginning. They can go either way. It can happen peacefully or quite violently. So, first of all, at this point, the United States of America, okay, if anybody wants to start a revolution here, I can tell you right now it's going to fail. And you know why? Because most people don't even see a problem in this country. They just go on with their happy little lives until something particular affects them in their own lives, or they hear some inflammatory rhetoric over their televisions or radio stations or whatever. Well, that isn't enough to cause any kind of revolution to start with, okay? It's called critical mass. And that critical mass is nowhere near on the horizon here in the United States. So for the time being, things are just going to croak along, and everybody is going to stay pissed off, and we're going to keep fighting each other, because that's the whole point of the elite, is for us to keep fighting against each other. And sometimes we can't even get along on a basic level anymore as far as the internet is concerned, okay? In a face-to-face situation, this is very, very different. Because what you say to somebody on the internet or in some comments or something is not what you would ordinarily say without this anonymity to some person standing right in front of you. You would think probably very carefully before you say anything that inflammatory to somebody. So, I suggest we all take a deep breather here our political system, everybody knows this, okay? Our political system at this point is so corrupt. And this is not from the bottom up, it's from the top down, okay? So we're dealing with a media spectrum which is dictated by corporations, which own the media, essentially. And then we have, massive corruption of our politicians, or let's say so-called representatives in Congress. I mean, no wonder the approval rating of Congress is 70, disapproval rating of Congress is 76%. And that is a very well-deserved figure, by the way. So it's not just about the presidency, because the presidency is itself now constrained due to prior events as to what is going to happen here in terms of elections. And in my view, this recent Supreme Court decision, Citizens United versus, the United States, is absolutely devastating in terms of our democracy and our republic. Because in the long run, unless this decision is reversed somehow, I just cannot see how we can even restore some of our basic freedoms at this point. It can be done, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to take years. This is not going to be achieved within the next election or the next one after that. And violence is not going to solve the problem either, because the state apparatus that we're dealing with is far more powerful than people could possibly imagine. These recent arrests of peaceful anti-war activists is just an example of things to come. Basically, intimidation. Nobody's thrown in jail for 18 years yet, but it's kind of a precursor of things to come if we don't remain politically engaged in order to fight against this. And we have to keep fighting. Nothing good in this nation has ever been achieved without some sort of confrontation. And not necessarily between the people, but between the people who are in power. Even the founding fathers had really, really difficult arguments against each other. So nothing is cut and dry. And the Tea Party, has been absorbed by the Republicans. I mean, that's quite obvious by now. And the progressives have been sort of swallowed up by the Democratic Party because they've got nobody else to vote for. So there's got to be agitation from the outside by reasonable people who just say enough is enough. And those reasonable people on the outside are not necessarily extremists, people who want to shoot their own neighbors across the block. But in order to form those types of coalition, we need to talk and converse with each other through some type of medium. And we can't be so isolated in our own little pockets and lifestyles, so that we seem to believe that everyone around us is our enemy, which isn't the case. I left the Democratic Party not because of the infighting, but because of their spinelessness, because they won't stand up for their supposed platform. I mean, it's laughable at this point. And I'm sure some Republicans feel the same way, especially the very first, perhaps, Tea Party supporters in the very beginning. But now they've also been duped. So we need to put pressure on the system from the outside, regardless of any party affiliation, and to come to some consensus and hopefully, peacefully. Because once the big boys, the corporations, decide all that for us, we're all going to be screwed. Every one of us. If you think that corporations are going to be the answer, that this sort of laissez-faire capitalism is going to be the answer to your problems in the future, I think you're mistaken. I'd invite your comments on this video, because people need to work together at this point. It's not an either-or question, nobody wants to have some sort of centralized government with so much power that individual freedom is completely lost. On the other hand, we can't have some sort of libertarian idealism out there that thinks that just if you make it on your own and you care for yourself, then you're going to be okay and you can just forget about everybody else. That's really not how societies work. It's an illusion. I hope somebody will make a video response or make some comments.